jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's the jacked up review show.
Join us as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Listener discretion is advised. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show.
It's so weird why we're cutting in and out.
Yeah, strange. Well, it seems to be around on my end. I'm on my home Wi-Fi, and it's pretty strong. Like, it might be a bit weak in the kitchen, but it seems to be full bars.
Gotcha. I mean, I guess we'll just give it our best shot. So
Yeah,
here on the show is blogger and awesome movie fanatic Caomh McGillion. How are you, sir?
it's Caomh.
Oh, Caomh McGillion.
Caomh, like Steve. Caomh. It's Irish.
Cave.
Yeah,
Gabe.
yeah.
Cave
Caomh.
McGillion.
Caomh. I know it's right. Yeah,
Cave
that's it.
McGillion.
That's it, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So what was your intro to this very chaotic, very unpredictable show?
Yeah, I think I was over at my cousin's house one time, and they were just like, "Oh, what?" I walked into the room, their sitting room. It was like I was only about, I'd say, 11 or 12 at the time. I was like, "What's this you're watching?" I was like, "Oh, this is Prison Break," and started watching it. I don't know what episode it was, whatever, but I really really liked it. And then once I got an idea of the general summary of what it's all about, then I started watching it. And it was on telly at home on RC2. That'd be our like major the TV channel. And I remember I used to watch it like every Monday, or it could have been Tuesday after school then. So it was I was about 13, 14 when I started watching it properly. Like, so I would watch it every Monday night or whatever, and it was great. And loved it. Like, and then I think I watched the whole way up until season 4, but then I missed the last episode, like, or half of it. And
Oh, damn.
yeah, it was a bit annoying, but I had an idea of what had happened and all, and it was a bit pissy. And then they brought it back there. It was a couple of years ago, and I watched that there recently, and it wasn't amazing, but it was watchable. It was something to watch. Like, it didn't have the production value now that the previous seasons had.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the final break.
Yeah,
That they distributed. And see that was that I mentioned that earlier. That was very confusing marketing.
yeah,
It's like it was their backup alternate ending, and then they're just like, we're not sure if anyone will accept it as the main ending because we already had the staged funeral of the character and all that. It's like,
yeah.
let's just have it be a direct-to-video movie, even though it aired internationally overseas as part of the whole thing. So it is what it
Yeah.
is, and it wasn't the final break, so I guess there wasn't really a point of titling it that. But
Yeah. Sure, there's talks about making another season now as well. So
yeah, they did season 5, which was they were in
Beirut.
mo-
I think it was Beirut.
yeah, Beirut, and then it goes back to some boat action, and then also being stranded in the desert and other shit.
Yeah.
But after their escaping war-torn areas, then it's pretty much about just putting the whole conspiracy to rest.
Yeah.
But yeah, season 6, they were thinking like the creator was teasing, let's have a William Fichtner return as Mahone in some capacity, but it seems like once again, much like 24 and
I think that ship's kind of sailed. That character's kind of, his arc's kind of over. Like, you know what I mean?
I guess you could say that. I think he should, if anything, like they should just twist it around. Like he puts him in witness protection or some shit just to redeem his character still.
Yeah.
But like you say, is like, well, in a way, the whole franchise kind of has Cell because just Disney acquired Fox, and
Yeah.
even though Fox is separate in the TV division,
Yeah.
all the cast members have repeatedly posted on their Twitters and Instagram that not that they're tired of answering fan questions, but they're just very frustrated because they keep asking the studio, and the studios keep giving them well, we're talking, we're thinking.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, what do you want me to say to these millions of fans? It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
frustrating as a performer and a producer.
Especially, yeah, that's it. When you can't get a green lit, like, and you're there, the fans want it, and all the actors want to do it. You know.
Well, how many Kickstarters and other press release tours is it going to take for you to put it on the
Exactly.
fall season?
And like sometimes it feels like when I was watching season 5 on Netflix, there it felt like it was kickstarted the way the production was, like, some
Yeah,
shoddy
and
production value here and there, like, and okay, I mean, to be honest, season 5 isn't great, like, it's not amazing or anything, but it is just nice to see these characters and having them, being put into an awkward situation and then trying to get out of it, like.
absolutely. I mean, compared to other revivals, I mean, I was talking with my pal Billy, and he wasn't really crazy about it, but like he kind of said the same deal as you, where it's like it's just
Yeah,
added on material, but it's not must see material. But I mean, some of the new cast members weren't bad. I mean, I liked how it kind of gets a little more serious. Like Lincoln is actually having to use a few different contacts. It was cool that Sino has become a Muslim priest, and now he's
yeah,
thrust back into the adventure after missing for a while.
yeah.
And Teabag is now a kind of a cyborg, so it kind of feels a little cyberpunkish at times. How he's having to heal his hand and having to be
That's
used
the
for
thing,
other
though.
different purposes.
With Teabag, like, you lose the hand, it's almost like he becomes like more imposing and more intimidating or something. He's missing a hand now.
Yeah, very much so. And
Yeah,
I mean, the show as a whole, I mean, for a show that kept changing up who was in charge of all the various storylines each season, I
yeah,
think, I mentioned earlier, the longest time, everyone was, when it was first out, everyone was praising it. I would hear about friends at school who knew about it. I was seeing reviews. And then it's like after
yeah,
season 2 or 3, it was becoming like the most popular show for everyone to kind of
yeah. Like
bash.
yeah. But I
And
mean,
I
like at
was like, what
the
the hell?
start, it was serious. The ratings, like, it was getting.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, after a while, I had to stop taking TV reviews seriously because it just seemed like it was all based on whether or not they would predict it would get awards or some shit. And I mean, Entertainment Weekly pretty much became the big snob on the block.
Yeah,
The AV Club was a little better, but after a while, it became very apparent that people were basing it on by episode. I'm like, well, that's an even worse critical precedent. There's always going to be one episode you may or may not care for.
yeah.
Why?
That's crap. Like, that's filler or a mixed bag. Like,
or it went direct to video. It can't be good. It's just like there's plenty of independent movies that get released because that's the only methods they have in having it be seen.
yeah,
I mean, I'm more likely to review. I mean, marketing also sucks. So I'm not going
yeah,
to base the finished product based on a crappy poster. It'll take me some time to seeing it. I'm definitely not seeing it right away if the Photoshop poster looks like shit. But I mean,
and there has been several of those really bad, really, really bad Photoshop posters for movies and TV
oh,
shows, and they just put you
absolutely.
off it, like.
There's this one with a wrestler, the Edge, called Money Plane. It's probably called something else overseas, but it's just like, holy fucking shit! Is that really Denise Richard, Thomas James, and Kelsey Grammer's body?
Jesus, sounds bad, all right.
And just even the cast alone, you're like, what the hell? This can't be real. So I've heard
Yeah,
reviews of it, and what do you think about Prison Break's influence? because it seems like there's been a lot of similar movies and shows. I definitely found we found Money Heist, Legends, with Sean Bean, Nikita, and even Person of Interest to have very similar influences.
Yeah. I don't know, to be honest with you, because like the only one that you've mentioned, the only other TV show that I watched has been Legends, and that was only the first season of it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, season 2 takes a total twist because then it becomes kind of a historical set gangster show.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's really not needed, but it's kind of worth seeing just kind of how Sean.
Yeah, I watched a few episodes of season 2, and I thought it was really bad, so I just quit watching it.
I can't blame you. They kind of save all the surprises for the end, but at the same time, TNT really didn't promote it all that well either.
No,
so.
they didn't. So no wonder it got cancelled. Because like the first season, I really enjoyed, and it was the nice balance of drama and action. Where like when season 2 started, it was just like, what is this? Oh, we're in England now. And it's just like loads of dialogue and no action or no real,
They were really taking a turn because it's like after a while, it's like they wanted to just have just more procedurals and doctor shows, and it's like do something different. I mean, The Last Ship was really surprising for me. I've been going for HBO Max app, and I mean, Rizzoli and Isles and the closer major crimes franchises have really stood the test of time because they had everything. They would have some police action. They would have some witty mystery. Witty mystery and just altogether just very structured plots to avoid predictability. And it's like, that's good. You need, because I think they worked all mainly because they appeal to all audiences. They have some Cagney and Lacey, CSI, Bones, Law and Order, and even what's the one other show? Some mild NCIS kind of, just perfect elements of everything. Like
sorry, you lost me there. You lost me there. What are we talking about now?
Oh, the cop shows TNT had.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And it's like they worked because they weren't like network TV, and they weren't more of the same.
Yeah, like NCSI is all about naval crimes within the Navy and that there.
That they have, and I think they went into franchise overload before they decided let's get it back down to square. Yeah, exactly. Let's stop this shit. Let's actually interact with the one because they had no relation to the LA one besides a few character cameos. And circling back to this, I mentioned how Prison Break had a spinoff called Breakout Kings. It's fun in a burn notice kind of way, but it's really, other than the Teabag cameo and the Fox River connection, it's got nothing.
Yeah, it's just those two things, and that's it. There's no real direct kind of referencing or mentioning, apart from those two, Fox River and
Exactly. And fortunately, the writers and producers really have had lucrative careers. They actually worked on Nikita, which is very similar, but some of the other writers, they ended up working on the recent Quibi, which is a mobile app that's been doing some original content. Some of the content's been getting praised, but their whole ratings totally crashed because they just waited way too long to just kind of do mobile only, material. But they apparently did a different version of The Fugitive. Instead of just concentrating on just the film or previous show, they decided let's kind of just change it up in the age of modern era, and it's just related in name only. And it had Kiefer Sutherland in a different role from 24, but it's kind of it had some Prison Break writers I noticed, and it kind of reminds me of that kind of same stuff.
This is Nikita now, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Basically, it's like they change it up to, is like, what if you were a suspect and you were at a train bombing, and because you look bad on tape, you look suspicious, you're the number one priority. We got to search for you, and that pretty much is what makes me just like the main first 4 seasons of Prison Break. Just that it really did get the emotion down. What would you do? The world is against you. What do you do? And I accepted the implausibility of it because eventually it had to go there.
Yeah, here's the thing though. I I think the first two seasons of Prison Break are absolute quality. I mean, the first season's all about breaking out of the prison and all the patching the plan and getting out in one pace. And the second season's great because, it's on the run and the cops are after you. Was it the Fox River 6 or something they're called?
Yeah, I had no problem other than it taking a little slow time and focusing on some of the annoying prisoners at first.
Yeah,
But after episode 5, it totally takes a turn and goes back to the whole, hey, we got to get out of here. Well, we're all being recognized in public.
see, that's the thing. I like the way they killed off loads of the characters that escaped. And then it's just down to Lincoln and Michael and all. And okay, so it's still there and T-Bag's still there. But it's just
T-Bag is going, and he's definitely one of the most notable serial killers. Because aside from how the actor performs, it's also just kind of cool seeing how he forces black market surgery doctors to work on him.
Yeah, after Fabrizi cuts his hand off.
Exactly, and just multiple other places where he has to. We noted how there's all these Manchurian Candidate born identity type assassins, but it's also cool seeing how he just keeps assuming people's identities, and he's cool until he absolutely gets caught each time, and he has to kill his way out of the place.
Yeah, I gotta love T-Bag. I love as well the music in the show. The music between the theme tune and the theme tunes for T-Bag are great. Those scenes in the show. Now I haven't seen the older seasons in a while. Where he's you piss him off, and they would just play that theme, and it would just be just within earshot, and you're just oh no, T-Bag's gonna fucking murder this guy now or do something terrible.
Exactly. And I have listened to both the soundtracks. They released them in pairs. 2 seasons each. Really excellent stuff by what's his name?
I have it here on Wikipedia. His name's Ramin Djawadi.
Yes, and he later did the music for the similar show Person of Interest as well as Game of Thrones. But yeah, Prison Break and Person of Interest scores I can listen to at any time. The Person ones are definitely a little more just diverse, just very theatrical. Because they're by Christopher Nolan's brother Jonathan, so I'm sure they had to be larger than life. But I definitely listened to the Prison Break ones just multiple times in the cars because the themes are just so unique and different. They never get repetitive, and that says a lot. Because what's the last movie soundtrack you can say you listen to is good or bad? And it's it got repetitive as fuck after a while.
Or just boring and kind of forgettable and generic,
that. Or I just really don't like it when the movie soundtrack has literally 2 minutes of just silence. It's come on. It just I'm not listening to this in the background. I'm listening to this on the way to work. Please speed it up and get to the parts we remember. I'm fine with the setting it up a little bit, but don't have just way too many moments of silence. Is I'm marathoning this. I need to actually hear the score. and it was pretty good. It didn't have any lacking silence. It didn't even have any theme repeats, if I remember correctly. And that paid off. Now, obviously, I'm sure there were other themes they didn't include, but the ones they did include were easily the best of the best.
Yeah.
They haven't released one for season 5 yet, and I think it got requested on a few forums, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I haven't really listened to any I haven't listened to any of the full albums. I've listened to a few songs, and that's about it.
Yeah, they could have released the one rap song that plays in the first episode, but other than that, it did pretty good at not for a show that went on so long. It's surprisingly one of the few that is we don't need to play a song in here that's a popular pop rock song.
Yeah,
it speaks for itself. There's only 2 instances, and they're very independent artists, if anything.
Yeah. And then as well, I forgot to say then, when it comes to season 3 and 4, when they go, isn't season 3 they go to prison in Panama?
Yeah. And how do you feel about the change of location? Did it just get too much for you after a while, or was it just
I mean,
needed?
The change of location was good, but the fact that they were back in prison, it felt like they were back to square one again. And okay, it's a different prison setup between, it's kind of the prisoners are left to their own devices in South American prisons in comparison to American, correctional facilities or whatever. But it just got it's still good, but like they could have went somewhere a bit more interesting. They could have had them hiding out down in the South America and have people still chasing after them and that. But the fact that they go back to prison is just kind of it's a bit mundane because we've already been there and done that. And okay, they break out of that, and that's grand. I still kept watching it regardless. But it kind of it was good, but they could have come up with something a bit more interesting. And then I thought season 4 was just kind of stupid.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new Podcast Cure-All? Sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of
They must be destroyed on sight.
as needed, and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Hey, I heard you like movies.
I heard you like to hustle.
I heard you like podcasts.
Well, guess what?
There's a podcast for you out there called The Home Video Hustle.
Damn right.
Every Friday, we talk about whatever movie PJ picks out the bag. What does that mean? Every Wednesday on our YouTube page, I put a bunch of movies in a bag, and PJ picks one out at random. And then we just watch it. We talk about it for maybe like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever we feel like doing, wherever the conversation leads us.
But do we actually talk about the movie?
Most of the time. Tangents galore.
Yes.
So believe me, we may be a movie podcast, but it's not always about movies. We may talk about video games,
Music.
Yeah, that's the big one, music. Sometimes we might get a little bit of politicalness in there.
Yes.
Sometimes we may just, we know what we like to do. We like to tell stories, PJ.
Yes.
I am the master storyteller of the podcast realm. Undefeated. So if you like to hear about movies, video games, whatever foolishness comes to our mind, the most random stuff you could think of, check out the Home Video Hustle. You can find us on the Stitchers, the Google Play, Apple Podcasts,
What else?
Podbean,
What else?
Podcast Addict,
Goddamn.
all that. Ain't no reason you can't get your hustle on. We everywhere, worldwide, baby.
Hustle, motherfucking hustle.
Hey, we can't cuss in the promo, PJ. We gotta be family friendly. There may be podcasts out there that don't want us here to say
Yeah.
all that good fun stuff.
Well, you.
Don't run the listeners away, PJ.
I'm sorry.
But this is going kind of long.
Yes.
So we'll end this and say, hey, check out the Home Video Hustle every Friday on all the various podcast outlets. Peace.
Peace.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. And while Witch didn't make it to the top of the world, he did make the Gangs of Hollywood podcast. So join the gang and enjoy a movie review podcast about movie gangs, gangsters, mobsters, and the mayhem they cause. You can find GOH Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at GOH Pod at www.gohpod.com, as well as your favorite podcast listening app. And remember, say hello to your little friend for me.
If you take two old punk rockers who are past their prime, put them in front of a movie screen and give them a podcast, what do you get? Cinema Punks. Cinepunks. It's the mixtape of movies.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was going to be a rough
How could you watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
It's late, it's time, let's check our cue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. With a one-last plot holes of gratuitous movies. It's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy. At eilfm.podbean.com.
We now continue with our program.
And that's all good. I mean, season 4, I pretty much, I guess I would have not cared for had I seen it live because it would be so different from what I remember it being. Now, looking at it now, I think that's kind of why I like this show as a whole. It just keeps, no season is the same, so it's not repetitive.
They go somewhere different.
But like you say, season 3, it's shorter because of the writer's strike, and that works in its favor. But at the same time, you have trouble accepting it at first because it's like you don't really have to return to a prison, do you? Oh, you gotta pretty much set a trap and get this one contact you need. Okay, I get it. But like you say, it is a little repetitive at first. Now, season 4 is what I call the discount Mission Impossible Equalizer season. Cause,
that's exactly what it is. So silly, like.
I mean, the hacker guy was kind of cool. I mean, I really just like the second half. Now, the first half, you really don't need because it's just him trying to get revenge and then realizing, it's not who I am.
I thought it was just kind of forgettable. And then all these antagonists that they had in the other seasons, oh yeah, we're working with them now. And it's just like, what?
Fair
What's
enough.
going on?
I mean, if anything, would you, if there was a show that they could spin off with together and just have something for everybody, who do you think it would spin off with? Because I feel like because of the same cast and crews and company that this is in the same 24 universe. Just
I don't know. To be honest, I wouldn't really want to spin off. And I'm just reading here on Wikipedia that the network actually has no plans to revive it. But Fox has confirmed in January 2018. Fox confirmed that season 6 was in early development. However, in August 2019, Fox announced that they have no current plans to revive Prison Break.
Then I guess this is farewell. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to get my hopes up. If it's on, I'll watch it. If not, I'll just remember the good times when.
Yeah, that's it. Like.
People were trying to be daring and try something different, and like you say,
it's one of those shows. were like I really enjoyed the intro to it. It was really cool with the origami bird and the music that your man, what's his name, Ramin Djawadi did, and then the way it was cut together. It was
Yeah.
one of those kind of like intros that was getting juiced up for tonight's episode. Like, so you're on your seat excited. Like,
Absolutely. And I mean, it goes a long way when you can use those pros and them not have to be cons, because every other show, good or bad, just seems to have just very, if you will, just over commercial, over marketed aspects to it that kind of become a turnoff after a while, because it's like, stop trying to appeal to the masses. Just be you, be your
Sure.
own thing.
Trancy, I asked her, I was just looking to be renewed for like an 18th season, and I'm like, isn't that a bit too much? Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, some of these other shows definitely went on forever, and I think it quit at the right time, because you can only escape a prison so many times.
yeah, it
And
says here like that it's that NCIS is the second longest running scripted and non-animated US primetime TV series currently airing.
I mean, it kind of cheated because it was by Donald P. Belisario, and he literally just redid his Magnum PI formula, which was never really. And you look at NCIS, it really takes like, I mean, it has some recurring villains and everything, but after like season 5, it starts becoming more serialized.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I really only got back into it by season 9, and I just had friends and family who were into it. But
Yeah.
I think it has matured over time. But I can see why some people who were out of it because they preferred certain characters, and after a while, some people just have to leave. There's just no getting around it.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. Sure, I'm looking at Law and Order here. It's been going since fucking 1999, and they're doing the season 21, which sure doesn't even have any of the original cast in it. Like,
Yeah. I think Law and Order just stood out better because the characters would like get a different career boost or something. Like one of them would just become a different kind of lawyer after a while, or get suspended, and then they show them later. And
yeah. I'm just reading here the cast actually for Law and Order. Yeah, the main woman in it, what's her name? Mariska Hargitay. She's still in it, isn't her? And
yeah.
Ice T's still in it too.
Yep, he's still there. Apparently, Stabler's getting his own spinoff, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And he's like now a member of the FBI or something, so he takes it all extra serious. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. I like Christopher Maloney as well. He's a good actor.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that he wasn't on here on Prison Break, because he seemed like the kind of guy who'd be a authority figure or criminal. I mean, I'm just harkening back to his days on Oz, and I think that's why I also like Prison Break. It wasn't trying to be like Oz. It wasn't even trying to be like The Great Escape necessarily all the time. It was
basically like The Fugitive. It's like The Fugitive. It's on the run, and breaking somebody out of prison who didn't commit this murder, and all that sort of jazz. And then like the way like Michael Scofield has the whole prison tattooed on his body was pretty cool.
Yeah,
those sort
Memento
of
style.
Yeah, those sort of elements like were pretty interesting and whatnot. It is. Here's the thing: like, I love Prison Break, but I think it really kind of goes downhill after season 2 for me personally.
Oh, good. I mean, I don't regret seeing any of it, but like you say, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's got their preference.
I mean, like, I'd still sit down and watch an episode if it was any of the seasons, if it was on telly or something, you know what I mean? If it was just some random one had been airing or whatever.
And that's what's a shame. It really didn't get syndicated at all. Just like 24, they decided, let's re-air the seasons, do a marathon.
Yeah.
On occasion, but
No.
on sister networks. But that's it. Like other than that, we're not going to re-air it, and that's weird because I see some Spanish channels occasionally airing it. But much like the even similar gritty shows around this time, like The Shield, it seems like the audience is heavily there, yet the networks don't seem to really want to re-air stuff like this. They just want you to buy, watch it on streaming or buy the
Buy-
expensive box sets.
Yeah, on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. Yeah, I know what you mean.
By the way, you can find it on YouTube if you want to watch the Fox movie channel used to have some cool, making of documentaries, like how it's made, I think is what it was called. And they did a pretty cool retrospective season 1 just showing how, and it's just fascinating from a filmmaking standpoint, how they had
This
to make
is for Prison Break, you mean?
Yeah. They did
Alright,
an episode
cool.
around season 1, and you can find it on YouTube easy. But
I must have a look.
But for sure, I'll try and link you to it. It was cool
Cool,
because
cool.
it just showed you how they had a very limited set, and they had to find ways to make it bigger than it was, let alone find the suspense in the room, so to speak. And it's like, that's cool. Every cinema buff, let alone filmmaker, needs that, because we get so, just reliant on famous people and just, I'll never amount to anything because I don't have, freaking $1 million. But that's not true, and I do think movies like Escape Plan have been really inspired by Prison Break, but
They have, but that film's atrocious, and I wouldn't even watch the sequels.
It's all good. I just bring it up because it seemed like after a while, any A-team or superhero or just super soldier type formula had to have like some kind of prison infiltration at one point or another.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
and I think the only one that pulled it off was The Unit, because it just had maturity. It just had.
I never actually watched The Unit. I've only ever seen bits of it in telly.
I think you'd dig that one because it just had sharp dialogue, and it pretty much just it was also by the guys who did The Shield, and it would wrap up every season perfectly without being reliant on a cliffhanger. And
it was like every episode was kind of like its own story. There was no real overarching story, was
there? Exactly, and I don't get me wrong. I will fault Prison Break for having to rely on some plot twists and season cliffhangers, but
I think they kind of needed that with all the main characters that were in it, the main players, like.
Exactly, and at the same time, it kind of needed some of that. But I will always. It's a shame Whitworth Miller has encountered some depression, because he's written some interesting movies, and I just think he's a overall very giving actor, very intriguing, and many of these actors I mentioned.
He is a good actor, so he is. He's no matter how he plays. Mind you, I haven't seen him in too many things, but he's always likable. Like.
Yeah. The only time I found him unlikable was the last season of Madam Secretary, where he plays opposing politician who puts the main character on trial. But that was cool to see him strike that different range, to have someone who's got his own career agenda, but it was kind of funny at first, because when you first see him, he's kind of doing his Schofield, just smooth talking.
Yeah, that's a good impression.
Exactly, but
I'm just looking at his filmography here. He hasn't really done many films. Maybe he should do a few more films.
He was definitely the best part of those silly Resident Evil movies.
Oh man, stop that bit when you find him in the prison. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, what is this?
And it was kind of a copy and paste when he and the actor who played Lincoln, Dominic, were on that Legends of Tomorrow TV show, playing brothers once again. It's like, yeah,
that was like another tap. But that might be, might return Prison Break. Woo,
They pretty much ended up doing so, and that's what gave them the ability to do season 5. But it was kind of funny because for a while it became a Spot the Mini reunion, because they got, again, the Teabag actor in there as a crossover episode, and then they had a few others. So the ship, I think, is sailed, but I think this show is underrated, and at the same time imperfect.
For definitely.
But but it's definitely a show I would watch every 5 years if I needed to, just because
It's funny, man. I've got a funny relationship with TV shows. Sorry to cut across you, but
all good.
I'm one of those people who like I watch it once and then I leave it for like for several years. Like Breaking Bad, there I finished it back like 2014. I haven't rewatched it since, but I will rewatch it again. But I probably won't do it for another while. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, because everyone just has all this free time to rewatch stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to watch something new. Fuck.
Yeah. That's what I'm like. I'm sitting down and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind rewatching like let's say Point Break again. But I'm like, but sure, there's other stuff there that's new that I haven't seen that I could watch. You know what I mean? I find like for every 3 new films that I watch, I have to watch one old one. You know that sort of, or one that I've seen before. Like,
yeah, and I mean, after a while, you also gotta. Everyone wants to watch it all when it's fresh and new, and I just avoid spoilers where I can. I mentioned in the previous broadcast of this how not only Breaking Bad, but the TV show Power, how I and even Ray Donovan, I like how, much like Prison Break, they construct their own criminal underworld without feeling over derivative. And I mean,
do you know what I think is actually rare for that? Criminal Minds, where okay, all the unsubs and serial killers and all they deal with are all fictional, but they constantly reference real ones and real incidents that have happened around the world. Like,
yes, they do. And I mean, I'm not. I kind of find that show its own cool vision, and much like Prison Break, despite multiple cast changes and people having preferences, it lasted 14 years too, which was surprising. But hitting on that point, I think that's what's interesting is Prison Break doesn't really have too much real world inspiration. I do think the general guy, yes, that's his name, folks, is definitely Oliver North inspired. I think the female president, they kind of went for a far more questionable version of Hillary Clinton, I think, and Nancy Reagan, but they definitely.
This is on Powers you're talking about, yeah?
Oh yeah, Prison Break, yeah, the president gal kind of.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
It seemed like, and the general kind of had an Oliver North kind of thing, and that was the guy who inspired the villain Die Hard too. So I mean, they kind of had a few just crazy parallels, but other than that, you would have to really do some digging if you wanted to see who inspired who. Because like you say, the other crime shows kind of give it up and say we're doing a mix of these two different scandals, and we're just making it our own. And like you say, TV is a real hard oyster. It used to be a thing, and now it's so oversaturated. It's like, okay, if you're gonna recommend this show to me, it better be, kind of feel like a movie where I have to actually see every episode. Because if I only have to watch one and I'm good, then it's not the show I really want to come back to.
Yeah.
I don't want a standalone premise. I need I constantly tune in, see what happens. And it is a shame that it's gotten to that point, because TV used to be a thing. It's like where you tune in for an epic mini series, you're gonna see a free night event, and it's gonna get even more twisted, or it's a historical epic, so you feel like you're watching a big war movie but on your small screen.
Yeah, I'm not really big on fantasy stuff, to be fair. Even when it comes to films as well, but I do like I love Lord of the Rings, and I do like films like 300 and that. It all depends, but like generally I more go, especially when it comes to TV shows, I love a good cop show, and then I like a good show about spies and action and that, and then just comedy stuff like.
Exactly. You gotta have something that makes it stand out. So if you're gonna have a hard-boiled cop, you got to do something else, because
you got to make it interesting because it's been done to death.
It has been. It's been done to death. You can't just rely on just the crime or the stars. And I really do tune out of the ones that rely on the star, because that just reminds me that I'm just watching a popular show, not a one that's really interested in making its characters gel. But yeah, like the spies can be done well. It's just kind of a shame that half the time they just feel like they have to rip off James Bond or 24. And it's like,
Yeah.
and sometimes whoever they're getting, they have good ideas, but they can't write dialogue for shit. So you get the usual, "Oh, I
Cringe.
love you. You're on my side, aren't you?" It's like, oh my god, you guys go to porn acting school? Jesus Christ.
Pure cringe, like.
Yeah, total soap opera cringe is like, you need to stop stating the obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That's it
just because
exactly.
they're posing as multiple people, I don't have to see every person they're killing or having sex with. I don't. I need to, like, I went for all 8 seasons of Homeland, which, and
Yeah.
like I kept coming back to it because, kind of like Mike Schofield, just the psychological breakdown of the character is fascinating, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
enough.
And that dynamic, like how it affects him as a person.
Exactly. And some of the villains who you think are just kind of one and done end up becoming way key characters later, or they get referenced like, hey, here's their
Yeah.
second part of their sleeper cell. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I can buy it into that if it's a terrorist organization. But like you say, every other movie or show just seemed to just kind of keep going downhill in that we got to have the same people every time and just find a very trite reason for them to all be back at the same time. Is like, that's too much.
Yeah.
Just change it up. Like, have that character vanish for a while, like he's in hiding, and then have someone new kind of take the fold.
Hmm. It was like with the Criminal Minds thing. I like that they really took advantage of was they started getting guest appearances as actors. So there's like a season where you
Is
have Mark Hamill as a serial killer, and then there's another one where C. Thomas Howell's a serial.
exactly.
Make it interesting, like.
Yeah, when I met C. Thomas Howell back in around I think it was 2015 or 16. Uh, he was definitely signing a lot of autographs for all his famous movie appearances, but he did plenty of Criminal Minds ones, and nicest
Yeah.
guy ever. But that's a good point. It's like
He's a
the
great actor. What was he
yeah, yeah.
like?
He was just very friendly. He was telling a bunch of stories about uh, with I asked him some personal ones like, "Hey, how's your dad doing? I know he's a famous stuntman who's worked on some of your movies.
Yeah.
How your buddies Kiefer and Lou Diamond Phillips? He was also a bit of a rascal, just joking around and having fun. And I'm like, that's cool. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, that's true. Criminal Minds really benefits from the recurring villains as well as, yes, you want to see who's going to be the surprise guest star and how they're going to choose scenery. But it's in the best possible way instead of the, yeah, why is this actor on here? That's just silly, and it really
Yeah.
worked.
Do you know what was a great actually cop show that he was in that I'm just thinking of there now? Did you ever see what was it called? Southland.
Southland.
Yeah, that's a
Yes,
great show. That's a great show.
absolutely. And his character especially is probably the most racist, sexist guy around. But you have to realize, it's like, unfortunately, without glamorizing it, it just shows you how a lot of these guys just become cynical animals after a while. They're brutes. They take out the trash, and and some of them, just vary by the day. One minute
Yeah.
they're law abiding, the next minute they can easily break a few rules. It's like, and there's actually is a good episode with his pal Lou Diamond Phillips where
Mm.
basically, you might remember it. There's this one episode where they're right at a crime scene and someone's slowly dying, and they're like, "Hey, are you gonna resuscitate him?" And Lou Diamond Phillips' character just tosses a freaking, like, oxygen pump. He's like, "You want to pump some air into that fucker? You go right ahead."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, then they start kind of briefing him about the law, and he does a brilliant, just kind of 180, just rotation, just it's like, "Oh god, someone here is gonna read me the constitutional rights."
Yeah.
It's like, it just shows you how, and I think Prison Break does a good job on crooked authorities without overdoing it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there are some actual scumbags working in every area of society, including authorities, but they do it in a way where it's like, this makes sense for this character's motive. He's not just
Yeah,
evil.
I kind of feel it feels like plausible, as in like the reason why they're so bad is because they've been forced into the situation and whatnot. And they're not just evil for the sake of being evil. You know, everyone has a motivation behind it all. Like, they're the best villains, the ones where you understand the motivation, but yet they're doing horrible things to other people. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, and who would have thought that Brad, the douchebag, prison guy,
Brad
would actually
Bellick.
redeem him? Yeah, he redeems himself in season 4, but it's like, damn. But for those 3 seasons, he is a scumbag.
See,
He is
that's what I hated. They kind of like force it on you, and it makes them feel contrived. That, oh yeah, he's redeeming himself, but it was just like, yeah, but they didn't like invest enough time actually showing the character in other
That's
seasons.
true.
Because he's only
kinda
in like season 1 and 2, and then sure he kind of disappears. Does he not? Or he's not really like a major player for a while. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like they didn't know what to do with him. But
Yeah, because
season
sure
3,
sorry.
they kind of season 3, they pretty much show how he's followed him to the prison, and then he
Yeah,
kind of wants to keep him alive.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, he ends up in
Because he's afraid of being killed. So
Yeah.
he all of a sudden becomes their bitch, which is kind of wacky.
Sure, doesn't he end up in Fox River at some stage or something?
I think briefly, and then it's like they get him. That's right. It's like then Mahone like says, "I need you to catch these guys" or some shit, and then it's like he does an about face, and then he hires another crooked guard who he previously blackmailed to leave to help him to go after the Fox River escapees as bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Only to betray each other. But like season 4, I guess I found it interesting because he's in the background a lot and he's helping them, and then he ends up kind of saving them by just sacrificing himself unintentionally.
Yeah.
He's like, get out, and it could have used a little more momentum, I guess. Just at that time is like them commentating on him, saying, "I didn't know he gave a shit about us." It's just
Yeah.
interesting.
It doesn't feel like real. It doesn't feel genuine. Like,
Fair enough. I mean, it's already got a lot of unreal elements that.
yeah, true.
Had they
But I
not-
suppose
had
it's
they not-
television at the end of the day. But at the same time, you want to try and make the characters as real, and as lifelike as possible.
Pretty much. If I had redone anything, I would have just had there be less puzzle boxes and just kind of more. I don't think I would focus too much on the political aspect, but I would just have there be some other kind of politician or oil tycoon pulling the strings.
Yeah. I know what
And
you
just
mean.
have. I do like how Mahone kind of goes on his own revenge mission when his family gets attacked, because the assassins there were kind of just very. It just showed you how we thought he was the most unethical, cold-blooded guy who happened to be a special FBI agent, and then it's like, lo and behold, fooled me. These guys are more, emotionless.
Yeah.
I mentioned this earlier before, how Gretchen, her acting isn't the sharpest in her first few appearances, but later on, I kind of liked how her character becomes just kind of a "I love to hate you" kind of person.
Who?
Gretchen, the blue-haired assassin gal.
Oh yeah. She
And
was great actually as well.
I could definitely see her having her own. I would actually see that, have her own revenge movie.
Yeah.
Because it could stand on its own. It could be a James Bond Taken type movie. And
Yeah.
now,
Could be something.
unfortunately, that market's oversaturated. But I mean, if they made it kind of like Denzel's version of the Equalizer, I would totally see it. I think it would. If it was its own miniseries, like 10 episodes, I'd see it. Because in fact, any of these characters, that might be the best way to do it. I think I just solved the puzzle. That's bigger than Prison Break. Just if you want to bring them back, don't try and get them all in the same room. Just do their own standalone things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying do a prequel or any of that other horse shit. Fuck that. I mean,
Yeah.
They were talking about doing that with 24, and I was like, you
Oh
can't
no,
recast
sure.
Jack
Didn't they
Bauer.
do that with They did that with Taken with Brian Mills, and I watched a bit of one of the episodes there about a week or so ago on Amazon Video or Amazon Prime Video, and it was a load of crap. Like,
All good. Season 2 of that show I really thought got good, but I was with you. The ads of it, I was like cringeworthy. I was like groan.
Yeah,
And
because
it's weird
the
because
biggest
it kind of
yeah.
it feels more like The Unit or Strike Back in a way.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like Liam Neeson's character because the fact is, like, I think one of the biggest attention of things that got me on board with taking it was the fact Liam Neeson was going to be the main character and it was all about him going after his daughter. And then they were doing a prequel, like, where it's him and CIA before. It's like, it's not really needed. And of course, then they get some younger fella to play him and he just can't, like, fit the presence of what Liam Neeson could do. You know what I mean?
I'm with you there. I mean, he was doing his damnedest to try and imitate him, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like the same Brian.
Yeah, it doesn't. It feels like two completely different characters. Like
It kind of felt like Jennifer Bills was kind of in that show too, and that's my main complaint is her character kind of goes off on some side missions, and it's like it's more interesting if you let her be in the background and kind of do some wordplay with the main star as opposed to have go back and forth between different storylines. I recommend season 2, but season 1 is a bit rough because this is like it feels like a whole different deal, and it's like only in season 2 do you see the whole special set of skills anywhere near what they were doing in the movies.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I only watched it because I was bored at work and had Netflix. But like you say, I mean, I missed the whole TV run because they were changing the time slots, and again, it's like whoever does the ads for TV shows, I really don't like how. I mean, they used to be really cool and catchy, and now it's like they often do this thing where they take a very lesser moment of dialogue or something, or just any type of cheap dialogue, and then they have a random just like they close up the shot, and it looks cheap, like something you do in Final Cut, Adobe, like you know what I mean.
Do what? Sorry.
Like they do a very sped up like close up, and it's like the same shot.
Oh, but it's obvious that looks they haven't shot it.
Did a quick
an increased frame rate, so they just edited it in post, so it looks even
yeah,
worse.
it's like and then they add a pop sound effect, like poop, poop, you know, or some shit like, or a record scratch, and it's like always like for an awkward sitcom or show, but it just looks cheap as fuck. It's like stop that, whoever's doing this. And I know movies and TV have been suffering since like the late 90s, early 2000s. They stopped doing anything in studio and just hiring companies, which their specialty was doing trailers. But
yeah,
some of them do a damn good job, and some of them especially needed it because you watch the actual movie and it looks like amateur garbage. But I mean, other ones totally
what film?
Like
right.
Oh, just various movies I've noticed. Like some of them just they totally just sped to the end of the movie and just gave away the plot twist ending, and that was the trailer.
Oh Jesus, yeah. Sorry, I got distracted. I'm on Wikipedia, and that can be one of the worst things to distraction. But sure, do you remember the trailer for fucking Terminator Salvation, where they spoil in the trailer that fucking your man's a robot, and it's just like, what the fuck is this? Or in when a Stranger Calls remake, where they spoil in the fucking trailer that the call's coming from within the fucking house, the fucking baby's in.
know, and it's like, people, are you watching your own movies?
What about Kingsman? Golden Circle, where they spoil that, actually, what's his name, Galahad's actually alive.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I already had some issues with that one, but I mean, it seems like they also rely on just. I can't fault them for showing some famous faces being attached to it, but they almost always is like, just take one speech and do a montage over some of the highlights of the film, and you'll be good. But don't show me literally every other portion of the movie.
Pivotal plot points in the film. I think the best way to do it, everyone needs to take a note out of Christopher Nolan's film trailers, because they throw everything at you and they tell you, like, you get an idea of what's happening. It's not a strong idea, but it's an idea. But they make you want to go and see the films, like The Dark Knight Rises. Did you ever see the Nokia trailer for that, where it's like up in the ante because it's, the final chapter? And you're watching it, and there's this great music blaring in the background. It shows Batman doing things, a bits of dialogue from Batman and Bane and Catwoman and that. And then it's just like, God, there's so much stuff happening. It looks so good, and the scale is massive. but I still don't have a notion, what the story's about, what's going on, or what's going to happen. Like,
Yeah, you definitely need to go for that, or even the Terminator whole deal, where it's like just show some of the stunts, but don't show the whole fucking movie. Don't show a final scene where someone's monologuing and letting out a one-liner as they is going to shoot someone. Is like, so now I know who's going to fight who. Don't give
or
that all away.
when you display like a twist, like a plot point, a serious plot point twist in the film, like that's when it kind of ruins it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Exactly, and the movies you mentioned suffered also from having their scripts leaked online, so it was just like, okay, so this is already working against it. And I mean, even music videos for movies would even spoil half the movie as well. So DPC's one is like, good God, you're showing literally every character's death. What the hell is going on here? I mean, just show one attack, but don't show us if they lived or died. Don't, I'm not saying it has to be over flashy either. I mean, you can literally take, if anything, I say
And what
take
show?
the first
Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, Game of Thrones was the worst, especially because
I only watched the first season.
Them. Oh really? Okay.
Well, sorry, what was the show you were saying that they started killing people off like mad? I just missed.
Oh no, I was just saying music videos for movies I noticed would also give away key plot points.
Oh yeah, they would, yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you're gonna show death scenes, like just show the initial attack, maybe even show the first 5 minutes of the movie, but don't show the whole scene.
Show like clips, like as in like small contained bits of the film, but nothing too major.
Exactly. Show part of a monologue. Don't even show them who the character's talking to. You can, I know they got different takes of everything. You can change it up slightly without making me feel like, oh, you bastard, you totally lied to me. Don't keep having, rushing out these trailers and having scenes that aren't in the final cut. It's just, it's maddening.
yeah, it sure is. You wonder what they're at, them studio execs, man. They're all in it for, we need to get in the views and the money, and never about the actual content at hand.
Oh yeah, and I mean, it's already bad enough when you see actors who's like, I thought they didn't star in these kinds of movies, but money talks. So, I mean, it has gotten to that point where it's like something's got to change. But I can't. I've listed many reasons now. I just need someone to actually take note before I go on it, because I don't want to go on a rant.
Yeah, that's it. Like you just gotta fucking. I mean, like we're talking now, but okay.
If they made this show now, it would be pretty bad, I think, because it wouldn't be as. It would be kind of too reliant on bigger name stars and just I don't know. It wouldn't.
Sorry, you've lost me again. Hi, my head's all over the place today. What show are you talking about?
No, I was just saying. I was just kind of closing this out.
All right. Okay.
I think
sorry.
the show came out. I think the show came out at the best possible time, because if they made it nowadays, it would just be a very bland prison drama with big name stars.
Yeah, because you see, it's kind of oversaturated now between all the films and that as well. Like,
yeah, it has to have a A-lister who's never done TV. Now that's the marketing gimmick, and it is like they would stretch it to 8 episodes, but I guarantee you, even if they tried that, half the time it just feels like 5 of the episodes you can still just summarize or easily take out without missing anything. So it would probably run into that obstacle. So thank you so very much for adding to this second chapter of an overlook.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries. I'm glad to join and discuss some great TV shows and that there.
Yeah. We've been chatting in so many movies,
and it's nice to get back in touch with yourself as well, because Jesus, I couldn't even remember the last time I talked to you.
Oh yeah, likewise. It's like we're so distracted with so many other big going ons.
Yeah, and the fact we both live on the other side of the world.
Yeah, that's not helping.
No, it sure isn't.
So fuck you, Corona, and Thank you ever so much for being on here, McGillion.
No worries, man. No worries. Sure, I'd be up for going on again if you want to talk about some other TV shows or that there.
Oh yeah,
Or films even.
We're even doing a James Bond overview soon, and that's going to be multiple chapters. Yeah, I'll resend you the schedule, and we can work out some times.
For sure, man.
Where can we find you?
You can find where can you find me?
Yeah.
Online or in real life.
Oh well, yeah, on social media if we want to, if you have anything going on that you want to plug.
Not really particularly. My profile on social media is personal, so I do have a Letterboxd account that can be found at Caomh, just my first name with a capital C, and I occasionally might review stuff and make comments about films I watched, but I'm not really as active as I wish I was. Sometimes I might go on and write a wee review, but I haven't really wrote one in a while. I sometimes find it hard to get the motivation to write one, but I'm half tempted to do one. I just watched Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey, and I really enjoyed that, so I might do a bit of writing on that. But apart from that,
yeah.
that's I'd say the only thing I have for film related stuff.
For sure, I might have to see if I can get you on Action Flicks or the Action Elite or Movie Elite. They're always looking for extra bloggers, so.
All right, okay, that sounds interesting.
For sure. Other than that, this has been a lot of fun to do a second review and overlook, and thanks for finally reaching out.
No worries, man. No worries.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show.